Welcome to the Writers Weekly podcast, a forum geared toward the writing enthusiast and those who want to make money from their writing. I'm Brian Whidden, managing editor of Writers Weekly, and I'll be your host along with Angela Hoy, the creator of Writers Weekly and president and CEO of BookLocker.com, a full-service book publishing company. Whether you want to learn how to become a professional writer, how to find writing gigs, or even publish your own book, then you come to the right place. We'll be discussing all kinds of topics relating to the writing and publishing industries. Don't forget, you can also click over to writersweekly.com. There, you'll find not only thousands of articles about professional writing, you can also find current paying markets and job listings to help you boost your writing career and even your bottom line. But for now, let's get on to this episode of the Writers Weekly podcast. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Writers Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Brian Whidden, managing editor of Writers Weekly. And with me, as always, is Angela Hoy, owner and operator of Writers Weekly and president and CEO of BookLocker.com, a full-service publishing company. I almost got that all in one breath.
Hey, Ricky's here today.
Rickey Pittman is here with us today. He is one of our authors that fills up our website with lots and lots and lots of books that he's written. And so we thought that it would be great to have him come aboard today and chat with us about his life, his background, and the many books that he's written with for us.
And how he manages to write so many books.
And how he does that. I'm sure a lot of you would like to know, how in the heck can I get more books out? And we're gonna talk to him about that.
Because there's 12 on BookLocker, and he's, I believe, written 18.
We're not his only publisher.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
Rickey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well considering the ice apocalypse down here. Yeah,
it actually touched down into Louisiana.
It's incredible.
I mean, you know, I'm sorry, Rickey. I'm as ignorant as the next guy. When I think Louisiana, I think heat and the bayou and the alligators. And you're telling me about an ice storm. And
if we have some little burps in the recording, because you don't have internet right now, you're using your phone.
Right.
Yeah. And you were just telling us that your local college has been closed for what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, and ULM, the University of Louisiana at Monroe, is reopening this Wednesday. Okay. And so I've had to change due dates and to accommodate the students and like that. But, you know,
you were just telling us you teach there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
For I only teach online. I have been offered full-time work, but then I'd have to have office hours and go to meetings, and it would interfere with my travel across the South because I travel a lot.
You are involved in a lot. Let's jump right into this. So you sent us a little bio. I'll read this, but I want you to kind of give us a little more flavor about all that you do. Rickey Pittman, the Bard of the South, is a storyteller, author, songwriter, and folk singer. You won a grand prize of the 1998 Ernest Hemingway short story competition. Just out of curiosity, did you have to look like Ernest Hemingway, or did you just have to write like him?
I did not, but the family of Hemingway hosted that, and it was down in Fort Myers, Florida, Sanibel Island, and I got to go down there and meet the family, and it gave me a personal picture of Ernest Hemingway and $1,000 prize money, which I bought a nice computer with. And it was a great experience. And that really was the biggest boost to my writing career, I'd say, as far as contests and things like that. And I do try to enter every writing contest I can.
You have participated in, I think, every single one of Writers Weekly's quarterly 24-hour short story contests. Mm-hmm. And I think 1 year you won $200.
I know. I'm hoping to get some more too. I need to buy me a Gretsch guitar like you have, you know.
Oh.
Now, you're originally from Dallas, Texas, and now you reside in Louisiana.
Yes.
And you present your stories, music, and programs at schools, libraries, organizations, museums, historical reenactments, restaurants, banquets, on and on and on. I see that you're also involved with Celtic stuff, so I guess you have either an Irish or Scottish background, do you?
I do, Scots-Irish background and some Welsh as well. And the festivals have been, I do. Yes. And the rumors are true.
I wasn't going to go there. I saw Brian's eyes go wide.
My grandmother on my mother's side was an O'Sullivan. I do not wear a kilt though.
Yeah.
I've just found no need for it.
Yeah. The festivals have been good for me. And of course, previously with Pelican, I had 2 children's picture books, the Irish ABC book, Irish alphabet book, and then the Scottish alphabet book. They're both out of print, but they sold really well for me at festivals. And I do the storytelling. And of course, with Book Locker, I have my book of facts about the Scots, Irish, and other Celts that I wrote. And it does well at festivals even now. Now, before COVID came, I was doing about 140 to 150 presentations a year at these various events. And then when COVID came, of course, it shut me down. I was a musician and a book signing author without an audience. So,
yeah. And I've heard this from other authors, but it's true that if you sell books at an event versus at a bookstore, you sell a lot more books. Yes,
that's really true. And the royalties are better too, because you buy them with your author discount and you make more. Whereas if a bookstore sells your book, you make 50 cents, maybe 75 cents.
Yeah, well, right. and it makes a lot of sense that if you're going to specific events and you're playing the kind of music that fits into that event and you're telling stories that fit into that event, and then you got your booth full of your books, I mean, people who have, seen you, listen to you, and enjoy you are definitely going to be prompted to come pick up a couple of copies of your books.
Yeah. True.
Yes, that's what we hope. Yeah.
That is a great marketing strategy there. Yeah. You're also a college instructor. I think we might have touched on that, but yeah. And tell us a little bit about that. Well, first of all, what instruments do you play?
I play guitar and mandolin. I have played bass guitar for a few bands in previous years. But when I really got serious about my books and I became a solo performer, for one thing, it's hard to find musicians that aren't whiners and sissies about traveling and stuff like that. So I just work better by myself,
Yeah. Good guitar about you. Clearly you enjoy the traveling. Yeah. I mean, you got the list of places that you've been. Do you, I don't see it in here. Do you do any, I know you've gone to some of the battlefield historical things and stuff. Do you do any reenactments?
Yes, I was a Civil War reenactor until I became a full-time, going on to many weekends a year. But now, because I'm almost always working on a weekend with music or books, that I pretty well had to let it go.
Bet that was fun.
Yeah, my book I published with Book Locker, The Stories of the Confederate South, is still selling well among the reenactment crowd.
Awesome.
We will put links to all of Rickey's books underneath this episode at writersweekly.com/podcast.
Yeah, we're Angie and I were talking just about a month ago about things we want to do once it warms up and we start getting out of the house again. And we only live less than an hour away from the Chickamauga battlefield. And I mean that whole area is huge. And I know they have reenactments there, I think annually. So I think we're going to start watching for those and see about going to watch one when they have it.
Yeah.
My wife had relatives that fought at Chickamauga. And it was a victory for the Confederacy. Of course, they lost a third of their army doing it.
Yeah.
So victory is kind of a word.
And it's not, I mean, all the details aren't coming to my mind right now, but there were so many little twists and turns to that battle that if it had gone any other way, it would have gone to the other side. And it's
Yes,
almost surprising that the South lost after this victory, but apparently chasing the Union up into Chattanooga and trying to keep fighting them wasn't a very good strategy in the end.
A good plan. So,
yeah. So, okay. And your college work, tell us about that.
I teach freshman composition, English 101 and 102 for the two colleges, for the University of Louisiana at Monroe and Delta Community College. Both are here. And I have taught, well, I do also teach American literature up from the beginning to the Civil War for Delta.
Awesome. And we had, before we came on live here, we discussed AI in the classroom. So you want to tell our listeners about that?
Yes, AI has become a nightmare for teachers. And I think it's probably going to interfere with the the work of photographers and artists, painters, and even celebrities. I predict a lot of trouble over that. It's just trying to replace everything, with the. And I think it's a danger to creativity, and it makes a part of me want to go back to using a manual Olivetti or Underwood typewriter and just starting a new trend with that. And but AI is here. It's got some benefits, I suppose. It's a good spell checker. It's not always right, but it often is. And it doesn't understand writing fiction. I know that. And it also has been caught with several inaccuracies. For example, and you remember I was starting this book about Love as Strong as Death with, the discovered memoir of Tristan Evans. Well, somebody asked AI about who Evans was. And based on one of my epigrams things in there, that it made all kinds of stuff up about Tristan Evans. And so AI thinks he's a real person, but he's not. He's just a character.
We have started, I don't know, have we been doing audiobooks for 6 months yet? Or was it?
I think about 4 months. We've been doing audiobooks for about.
And we started, we were invited to participate in Amazon's virtual voice program, where people who have published books with us, we can get that book converted into an audiobook using Amazon's AI voice options. And I'm pretty impressed. You just tell it which book you want it to do. If it's got it actually goes through the ebook files, reads it. But it has been an eye-opening experience of how far AI still has to go with the English language.
Yeah, we had somebody write in yesterday, and she said there's a bunch of Spanish words in my book, and I'm like,
yeah, we don't want to. We can't do that. Well, first of all, because now it's not. I'd say maybe a third of our books, the author comes back, says there's some mispronunciations, and then I have a way of going back in and actually
phonetically
editing those. Yes.
Yeah.
You do. Because my book, Persephone's Underground, I went with that service that you offer.
Yes.
And generally the guy does really good. But there are a couple of words I'd like corrected, if I can send those to you when I get a chance.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Basically, I'm really pleased with it. And I asked for Southern American, and he pretty well got that. The speaker pretty well got that. But
I think I used a Southern American for my book, didn't I?
Yeah. Brian's book, Blue Lives Matter, The Heart Behind the Badge. He chose, I think, the same voice. Yeah.
Cool.
So
we were trying to make it sound like Brian, but that voice is a little more Southern than Brian.
and you told us a little story about what it's like to deal with these freshman composition writers and
AI.
Real freshman composition. They come to me and they really now sometimes the dual enrollment students that are either talented or gifted and talented or either honor students generally do a pretty good job with it. Some of the others, not so much. And it's a challenge to teach them how to write, and especially when I'm having to reteach them how to write in first person to avoid the AI problem. And I had one student, he said, Mr. Pittman, I do not think I deserve this 0 you gave me on my essay. And I said, I don't either, son, but it's the lowest grade I could give you. And, so a lot of them are surprised that about the standards I set, and then I really mean them. And
I think that's a big problem with the younger generation today is understanding that there are actually people in this world when they say something, they mean it.
And they're going to hold you accountable.
It's not optional. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They seem to think that all instructions are kind of just suggestions.
Yeah.
So
that's
right.
While we're talking about the school, the teaching, you're also a freelance editor. You've edited books for many Book Locker authors, and we'll put a link to that under this episode as well. And I wanted to briefly touch on you have helped other authors get their books published.
Yes.
So you provide editing and you walk them through the publishing process, because it can be confusing for some people, especially elderly folks. So tell the listeners how that works when they hire somebody like you to become like their publishing coach. How does that process work?
After I edit a book, and I've gotten to where now, I've improved my editing skills, and I'm wondering how tricky that's going to be with people that try to write with AI, and some people are even relying on AI to send an email,
Oh yeah,
things like that. But what I do is I say, they ask me about a publisher, and I tell them about Book Locker and tell them why Book Locker is a choice to go with if they want to be published. And I said there's advantages to self-publishing too, because one thing, the speed. None of the traditional publishers I know, do anything quickly.
That's true.
And it just drags on and on. And with Book Locker, you can get it done fairly quickly, and a good quality work. I'm so proud of my Persephone's Underground, and Todd as always, does a super job on the covers.
Yeah.
And so I recommend Book Locker and tell them why, and I encourage them to shop around, to look around, and I offer to help them with sharing my experience with how to do this and what to do and what they need to think of as they get into a book. One of the first questions a publisher should ask any author is, how are you going to help me sell this book? And of course that it depends on the degree of laziness and ambition and motivation. And I was just really motivated to make my writing work. The college has been a kind of a subsidized help to the slow days of music and books, and so I was just extremely motivated to make it work, and I am basically making a living through music and books and a little bit of college teaching. And as they say, you ask an actor, what do they do for a living? In other words, what restaurant do you work at? And we writers have to be willing to do it too, to support our writing passion.
Well, what we've found is a lot of authors, they just want to write books and they want somebody else to do everything else. And that's why the publishing coach business is growing quickly right now. And so you come and you recommend Book Locker, you tell them to shop around, then they decide they want to use Book Locker, and then you help them. You actually work with us on behalf of the author to get those books up for sale. And you said traditional publishers take forever. That's true. I had a self-published book and I had sold thousands and thousands of copies. And I got a contract from St. Martin's Press, and they told me to take the book off the market while they got the new edition up, and it took them 2 years. If I had just kept selling the book myself, I would have made way more than that $60,000 advance.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I actually have an article on Writers Weekly about why you might want to avoid traditional publishing. Because at Book Locker, we get a book up in about a month after the author sends their final file to us. And so, yeah, self-publishing is a lot faster, and you'd be making money on royalties, that whole time without waiting for somebody in New York to, call you back.
Now,
I need to send you an article that I'm thinking of that lists and describes famous authors who started out self-publishing.
Oh yeah, you'd love that.
yeah.
I think that would go with your Writers Weekly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely buy that article.
So I'm curious. Were you a musician writer who went into education, or were you an educator who decided you wanted to start writing and doing music for a living? Which came first?
Yeah, where did it all start?
Yeah.
My dad taught me how to play guitar, the old country music, by ear. And so I've been playing guitar since I was 11 and
wow.
Played in a few bands and like that, but never really got serious about it till I figured out that some of the secrets of marketing yourself. But I think I was the educator. I kind of started out in that and fiddled with some writing and some music, but so I would say probably the education came first, and I saw that as a base to promote myself in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start writing books, or when did you know you wanted to be a writer? Actually,
my mother used to take me to the Dallas Library every week. I'd max out my little library card and read. And reading so much, I said, I'm going to write something like this. And of course, I started off by copying some of the ideas of the books I was reading. I read,
normal.
As far as I know, I read every book on Native Americans in the Dallas Library, which is a lot more now, but than there were then.
Wow.
And so I was just motivated to write and read. I've always been a good reader. I still read a lot as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So was Red River Fever the first book you wrote, or no, you had older books than that?
No, actually, I had Red River Fever was my first book, published book.
Okay. And that was one of the Book Locker has published thousands of books. I think more than 17,000 print and electronic books now. And your book was our 461st book that we published years and years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Now, I think the next book that you did, and it's still available, is How to Market Your Books to Libraries. And what did you see a niche in there, a spot in the market that needed filling with that?
Yeah, when Red River Fever came out, that's how I started. That's how I got my battle experience of marketing with libraries. And I offered to come to the library and do a free reading and maybe play a guitar for a little bit and sign some books. And of course, library policies have, some of them get kind of weird, like there was one library in Grapevine, Texas that had me there for a book signing, and they had a poster made up and everything else. And then one of the head librarians there came in and said, "Oh, you can't sell anything here." I said, "Do you know what a book signing is?"
Wow.
So
interesting.
Kind of strange. But anyway, libraries were a good place for me to start, and I encourage them to do that too. To meet librarians, offer to come in and do a reading and maybe talk about the book and sell a few. And that put me on my way. I did a lot of libraries with Red River Fever.
That's great. That's great.
So based on that, you wrote How to Market Your Books. Let me ask you, is marketing your book to libraries still as relevant today as it was back when you wrote the book? Or have you found that more people are just willing to just go to Amazon and pick up a book?
To Amazon, and the libraries will, of course, go to Ingram to order books too. And so you just have to kind of adjust to what they want. But I still manage to sell books as I'm going through. I meet the librarian and say, I'd like to come here and do a program for you. I do songs and stories program. And often I'm able to sell the library all of my books, that I have with me for a full retail price. So
that's great.
It's good profits. Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes into something that we always tell people is you've got to be willing to market yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not a one and done. You don't just put your book up on Amazon, tell everybody on Facebook, I wrote a book, and then that's it. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And we do have, I had an author, I think, just a month or two ago that was asking about, hey, I want to get this into my local library. How do I do that? We're like, how about go there and ask them?
Yeah.
Like,
how about buy Ricky's book?
or buy them the book. Here, now I know I can direct them to here. Here's a book you can read about how to do that. So your next book with us was Just Right for Dinner, Planning, Producing, and Presenting Dinner Theater. And that's an interesting.
Every time I read the title of that book, I get hungry.
Yeah, I was an actor for 2 dinner theaters, and that's what gave me the idea for that book. And I'm still thinking about doing it, but I think there's still some theater people out there that will do that. So I know some theater people I can pitch that to.
Yeah. And your plate's so full right now, pun intended.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonk, wonk, wonk.
Yeah.
You do have a lot going on. I'd love to hear about your organization skills on keeping all this
right. How do you keep it all straight?
Let's see.
Stories of the Confederate South.
Well, I was just looking at the dinner book. Chapters explain why dinner theater works so well as creative medium, how to write dinner theater plays, how to market scripts, details for dinner theater performance. A sample dinner theater play, Murder at Olympus, is also included. So it even gives you an example of what you can do. But very interesting topic for a book. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, right.
That's something. Yeah. Stories of the Confederate South. Now you got my interest. Let's go. Relatively little modern historical fiction is written from a Southern point of view. Stories of the Confederate South is a collection of short fiction presenting a variety of Southern characters, events, and issues, and it does so from a uniquely Southern perspective. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've from being a reenactor and hanging around all those people, and some of them are walking encyclopedias as far as knowledge of the war between the states goes. Mm-hmm. And I was getting ideas, and I got in that book are a couple of family stories I put in there. Of stories nice. They tell that go back to the war. Some newspaper articles gave me ideas, and of course old books. And one of my first, my first children's picture book was called Jim Limber Davis, A Black Orphan in the Confederate White House. And Pelican sold about 3 editions, 3 printings of that, but it tells the story of Jim Limber, who was a free orphan of color that Jefferson Davis rescued from an abusive family and legally adopted him. And wow. I've told this story in schools everywhere. And so the president of the Confederacy actually legally adopted a black child. And
that's fantastic. I never knew that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in the stories of the Confederate South, he was taken by force, kicking and screaming from the Davis family, and they never saw him again. And I've got one of the stories in the book is the taking of Jim Limber.
Do you find when you tell stories like that in schools, colleges, whatnot, that students had no idea that there could actually be some compassion on the Southern side because they've been taught that, the South were just a bunch of, racist slave owners and that's all they wanted. And that's all the war was about. And,
when there were a lot of people in the South that, what?
Yeah, the younger students seem very receptive to that fact that there was many issues. And of course, when I do my Stories of the Confederate South presentation, I do some songs from the war and like that. And I make the point that the war was started. Slavery became an issue, but it wasn't why it was started. And how I know that, slavery was legal for 2 years in Washington, D.C. for the first half of the war. Yeah. 5 of the Yankee states were slave states till the end of the war. So if that was true, and General Grant had slaves and Robert E. Lee did not. So if those things are true, and they are, how can you say the war was started to end slavery? So that's just kind of a popular belief.
And when you dig into it, most of the guys actually doing the fighting on the Southern side, none of them owned slaves. It was
that's right.
It was about states' rights, basically. So, yeah.
And stopping the invasion from the north. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Northern aggression. Yeah. So, okay. King Lincoln the First. And this is about John Hill Hewitt, is known as the Bard of the Confederacy, a prolific and skilled writer, poet, publisher, playwright, actor, theater manager, composer, musician, essayist, and interpreter. This devoted Southerner left those who loved the South a rich legacy long before you knew of him. You were acquainted with 2 of his most famous songs, All Quiet Along the Potomac Tonight and Somebody's Darling. Go ahead and fill us in on that.
Yeah, that was just an interesting thing, that a little book that would appeal to the historians among the reenactors, who are very generally pro-Southern, and so they like books like that. So, and it was a polemic. He was definitely anti-Lincoln and anti-North. So it's and I just found it an interesting story that people didn't know about, and I like to find things that people didn't know about and bring that to light.
How do you find those stories?
Sometimes it's just serendipity, and sometimes I find it because I'm chasing down one rabbit trail, and then poof, there's something I had never considered, and that actually happens a lot to me.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Very interesting. Yeah. Tell us about biographies of a sea captain's life.
Yes, this was ancestor of my daughter's in-laws, who was a sea captain, and he was in the as a captain in the Mexican War back then, and became eventually a mayor of New Orleans. And his house is still down there in New Orleans, and it's just it tells about his life going to sea and the events that followed that. So it's a biography written by himself, as the title says, which I thought that was clever. But
that is clever. I love sea stories.
Well, and as you're, I'm sure, aware, we lived on a sailboat in a marina for several years, and we got to meet a lot of people, some of whom had actually been licensed sea captains who had been on, larger vessels and stuff, and others who had just, sailed their own boats around the world and stuff. And I think it's fair to say every last one of those people are just so unique and interesting in their own way. There's no one personality for a sea captain. There's a wide variety of types, but they are always very unique individuals. Once you get to know them, they stand out from the rest of everybody you know.
Yeah, very unique personalities and adventurous.
Very adventurous. Yeah.
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 And very courageous, because I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Under the Witch's Mark, Sheridan, which is your character in that book, didn't believe in witches, not in 1972, not until he met and fell in love with Bronwyn, a dark-haired beauty in North Dallas. Then he learned more than he wanted to about the sinister side of magic, witchcraft, and Satanism hidden in the underbelly of the city. What caused you to want to write about that? Of course, you're close enough to New Orleans, aren't
you? In Dallas, I was dating a girl. We were about 18 or so, and real intense, fierce relationship. Well, she became a witch, and in fact, there's a lot of autobiography hidden in that book. But she becomes a witch, and then she vanishes, and the book tells the story of Sheridan trying to find her.
Wow,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to?
Under a Comanche moon and other stories. So let's let Rickey. What?
I didn't get that one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Under Comanche moon and other stories. Rickey, tell us about that one.
That is just a collection of my my fiction, couple of murder stories and a Western and all. And that's another one I need to revive and maybe make some changes on the content. Because Todd did a great cover on that one. So it's just a collection of my short fiction, more modern than probably the others.
Okay. All right. Well, when you're ready to make changes, just, you know where I am.
I do. For the process.
Book of facts about Scots, Irish, and other Celts, and the Celtic nations have shaped our world, and maybe they have shaped you. The book of facts is certainly a book that will educate and inspire anyone who has Celtic ancestry or wishes to increase their knowledge of Scottish, Cornish, Irish, and Welsh cultures and histories. An interesting fact that I think a lot of people do not know is that the classic quote unquote Southern accent actually comes from Irish and Scottish that moved into the Appalachians and then spread down south. And when you hear folks talk like this, it actually came from
that cadence and everything.
It's actually when I grew up in Texas. And when you put a bunch of Texans together, even if whether I've been gone for 10 years, it comes right back.
It comes. Yeah, it does.
It just, you can't even help it.
Yeah.
But we moved to Maine, and all the kids started losing their Southern accents as well, because we were surrounded by people who had that sharp Northeastern accent, Harvard Yard. You ever heard that? Pocket card, Harvard Yard. Yeah. So, yeah.
But tell us about your book of facts about Scots, Irish, and other Celts besides the accent.
Yeah, I got that idea from, first of all, attending and speaking and performing at so many Scottish and Irish festivals. But in 2018, I was a featured musician for a Highland tour across Scotland.
Cool.
And that gave me even more ideas. And I think my book came out shortly after that trip in 2018, I think, somewhere around there in July. I can't remember exactly, but it still does well. And I keep collecting facts, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm going to have 2021. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to have a second addition to it, because I keep adding facts to what I know about the Scots.
I love history books that give all kinds of trivia. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and a lot of people like history books. History books tend to sell well.
So do you also specialize in I assume that kind of music? You've learned to play that?
Yes,
the
I
Celtic
have
style of.
especially around St. Patrick's Day, I have a Scots Irish show that I do, and I can put on the accent too sometimes,
Wow, I'm impressed.
And one time a student said, "Mr. Pittman, are you really from Scotland?" And I said, "Oh yes." I said, "Through no fault of my own, at an early age, I was born in a distant part of Scotland called Dallas, Texas. Have you heard of it?"
That is great. That is great. And I would recommend to anybody, if you've not actually delved into some of the Irish and Scottish music, boy, if you get on Pandora and listen to some of the like Irish pub music, and I know they use a lot of the Celtic stuff for like what would you call it, like mood music, like magical Celt flute stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean it's really actually the pub music is a lot of fun, and it's a great method of storytelling, but yeah, a great genre of music.
Also, Rickey, people can buy your music online, right?
Yes. My latest CD, excuse me, is called Touched by Ghost, and it's a collection of original songs. And the one song it came about as a result of my Scotland trip. It's called the Singing Sands of Islay. And there's an island in the Hebrides that you walk on the beach, and the beach makes music. And I've done research. There's 3 beaches in the world that this happens on. This is one of them. And scientists think it's a result of the elements that are in the sand and the wind and the waves all working together to create this tone, like you were walking on a xylophone or something.
That's incredible. I never knew.
So I made that.
Never knew that.
Yeah, I'll send you the MP3 of that song, Angela. Okay.
Okay.
So you can hear it and share it.
We can put in part of the background for this episode.
Can we have your permission to use that as background music for our podcast here?
Oh, please do.
Okay. Cool.
And also, I will get links where, of course, we're going to put your website and your Facebook profile under this episode on writersweekly.com/podcast. And we will also put links where people can buy your CDs and, of course, your books. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, our pleasure. Tell us about Sidney A. Seegers.
Yes, Sidney Seegers is the grandfather of my daughter's husband, and he was a very motivated and probably one of the most influential educators in Louisiana. And he's still alive. He's 94, so the family came to me and said, "Would you help get a book out about my father or grandfather," whichever one talked to me about it. And I said, sure. And so I would go and interview him, and he would talk and write. And after a while, I got him into the routine where he was writing out everything, and then I would take it home and edit it. And we put it together a nice looking book, and the family has been selling that really well. I get them copies with my author discount, and they'd go. He was a big Rotarian, president of Rotary and things like that. So the Rotary people really love that book. And
That's great. Sidney A. Seegers, Seegers, an educator's memoir from New Orleans to Monroe. Yeah, yes. Very interesting man. Yeah. My dad was also in the Rotary Club.
Okay.
How about that? Yeah.
Okay, Persephone's Underground, a modern setting after 9/11, the date when disappearing in America became more difficult. Tell me about it. This is a story of Cora, Roman name for Persephone, a lady who, like Persephone, is forced to journey from Monroe, Louisiana into a dark, mysterious world of New Orleans, hoping to find her way. So who's the original Persephone? That sounds like a Roman legend or.
Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah, she was a Greek goddess. And Hades kidnapped her and took her down into his Hadean realm. And so there's a series of about 10 legends about her, but I've always been fascinated by it. And so I thought of a modern parallel, and Cora is a teacher, school teacher in North Monroe, who finds herself in some real difficulties and has to go to New Orleans and to vanish and create a new identity.
Interesting. Intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have written a children's book with us. I think this is the last book that we've got out for you.
This was with Norleen Chamberlain. So co-authored book.
Ariel, the therapy dog, and the real. Now, is this was this fact or fiction?
It's a factual book about a therapy dog in the Rio Grande Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Ariel, therapy dog of the Rio Grande Valley.
Gotcha.
Do I still have access to that book?
You froze up there. So if after we asked you if that was a fact or fiction, you said that is a factual story. Can you give us the kind of quick rundown on that?
Yeah, I was doing songs and stories in the Rio Grande Valley, where I worked for about 6 years. I was working down there 1 to 2 weeks every month, which led to my creation of my Rio Grande Valley ABC book. But I was down there at one school, and this school had a counselor who had a therapy dog, and his name was Ariel. Extremely bright, and so I learned about the very difficult process of getting a therapy dog in Texas. It's very severe training and requirements, where some states, like Louisiana, you can just basically put a vest on it and call it a therapy dog.
Yeah,
but anyway, so I wrote this book. We wrote the book and published it. So now, did we publish it as hardback or paperback or what?
You specifically requested that one was an ebook only, but we're certainly happy to. Yeah, we're certainly happy to turn it into a hardcover or paperback for you. If you,
I do want to talk to you about that. Okay.
Okay, I'm making a note to myself.
I have to do that. So, okay. You're giving me lots of things to think about, and I had forgotten about that ebook. Actually, I've got to keep up with myself.
I can say that when I see somebody walking around with a grocery store with a Chihuahua in their basket with a little vest on saying service dog, I really have my doubts.
In some states, it's illegal to put one of those vests on your pet if they're not
good,
if
because that's what a lot of people do is they just slap that vest on so they can take their dog into stores and restaurants and stuff, and that's
You know what? I think in most cases those dogs just want to stay home anyway.
They probably don't want to be, because that person's pretty weird. Yeah.
So you've got other books out there. Are there any other books that you want to tell our listeners about?
I have another book called Blood Diamonds of the Lost Bazaar. It was printed by Wild Rose Press, which is a subsidiary of one of the big New York publishers, and they did a good job on the cover and good job on the content, but I really prefer working with Book Locker. They're also a POD company, but
even most traditional publishers are using print on demand now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious.
The good thing about print on demand is your book never has to go out of print.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm curious as to what that book is about. I am familiar with the Blood Diamond subject mainly because I have a big interest in like mercenary work and stuff. So I followed the Sierra Leone stuff and executive outcomes. But you talk about blood diamonds in a lost bazaar, which would be a Middle Eastern market. So what's this about?
Yeah.
Okay, you will love this book. I'm going to get one and mail it to you guys so you can
Okay.
take a look at it. But it's about there's a teacher, an artist, not an art teacher, but an artist in Monroe, Louisiana, who goes to Sierra Leone to work at a school that's rehabilitating the boy soldiers.
I have heard of those programs. Yes.
Yes. And she finds one and falls in love with this boy and legally adopts him. And she brings him to the States, okay, to Louisiana. Now, while there, and actually her work, her problem with this guy begins before there's a diamond merchant who markets the blood diamonds. And he's a really, really bad character. You will not like him. I don't like him. And I wrote him. I created him. So he is all kinds of problems to her. Another problem of hers is her musician boyfriend, who they have a stormy relationship. But she comes back and they mend things up. And of course, lots of conflict and movement in this novel. And I worked a few years on it, actually. And the reason I got that idea was I was listening to an NPR program back in the days when I could stand to listen to them. And
love it.
They were talking about, one senator was talking about the blood diamonds and the boy soldiers and the machete games and the horrible things, and the mercenaries. And I've got some mercenaries in that book. So you'll like that. I'll send you a copy.
Oh yeah, we both want to read that.
They've villainized the mercenaries so much during that period of time, but the truth is the company Executive Outcomes, which was a mercenary company, actually did more to calm that whole situation than any government, the UN, anybody else was able to do, because they were willing to go in and do what had to be done to deal with these gangs who only understood force. Everybody else wanted to try to negotiate. Right. So the mercenaries got a horrific rap on that. In fact, in the end, I think that's what. No, it was another incident that caused Executive Outcomes to close down. That's when they had a bunch of their guys arrested as soon as they got off the plane somewhere. I can't remember where, but anyway, but yeah, the whole blood diamond situation scenario is so complex, but very interesting how all that worked out.
In my book I'm working on now to get to Book Locker, Love as Strong as Death, there's some mercenaries, actually government contractors is what they're called, that were in Iraq, in the last years of the war when they were trying to close it down and get everybody out. So I think this is going to be a good one too. And it's the first one I've really classified that I've written as a romance novel. So my others have a kind of mystery and murder and mayhem and all kinds of other things. But this is I think truly a romance novel.
I like romances, even when they're written by dudes.
I'm not good at the romance. I don't know. I've never quite dipped my foot into that.
There's a lot of male authors who write romance novels under female pseudonyms. Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me. Well, no, because I think I hate to say it, but I think a lot of guys can really just figure out what women, because they've had women in their own lives, they know what they want to hear, so they can throw it on paper and make it work.
Yeah.
That's my guess. But Angie, you got any wrap up questions you want to ask here?
I had one wrap up question. First of all, we're going to put links for people can contact Rickey if they need an outstanding editor or a publishing coach, or any. Oh, and of course, links where you can buy his books and his CDs. CDs or DVD? What are they now?
Well, if it's music, it's going to be CD. If he's doing video and stuff, it would be a DVD.
Or download. Or
any number of things. Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite book to write?
I think so far it was Persephone's Underground. which is set in Louisiana, and I just love the mythology behind it, and the mystery that's in it. On the cover, I have 3 words: a mystery, a thriller, and a legend.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Also, do you have are you still traveling and doing shows and stuff now that the big bad C word is died down a bit? COVID. I'm sorry.
He's stuck at home right now because of that ice storm.
Well, right now you're not traveling. Yeah, I get it, but
yeah, I travel when I can, and after we close recording, I'll tell you something else I need to tell you.
Okay. Can people find your tour schedule on bartothesouth.com?
Yes.
Great.
It's easier to find on Facebook, probably.
Facebook.
Well,
Facebook.
we were gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna put a link to his
put all your
Facebook
links
page because Rickey announces where he's going to be and when and what's going on, and very good at that. By the way, I always know where you are.
I have found a new appreciation for live folk music.
Oh yeah.
Ever since we went to that little bar in Chattanooga,
right,
I've really come to enjoy just going to listen to the live stuff.
Yeah. Rickey, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or any questions you had for us, or anything at all?
Yeah, thank you so much for this interview. I hope you can use it, and
we're definitely going to use it.
But I learned something every time I talk to you, and Book Locker is the company I really believe in. I think it's the way to go to self-publish. And there's a lot of things about the traditional world that people don't know. Like, for example, they will make a writer pay $5,000 to have their book edited, even though they've accepted it, and little things like that.
Wow.
So, and the marketing, it's pretty well still left up to you. I mean, they don't stay up late at night worrying about your sales.
What they do is they make all that money from their celebrity authors, and then they spend that money on the celebrity authors, and they take in a few new authors each year in the hopes that one of those will take off and become a celebrity. But if you do have your book traditionally published, you're on your own. Now, with Book Locker, we give authors 90 plus days of promoting your book online and 55 do's and don'ts of book selling. And we give them those books for free to all of our authors. And at least they have opportunity to, in almost all of the advice is completely free. I mean, everything that we tell authors to do doesn't cost you anything. And then if they do need a publicist, we refer them to a list of publicists that are located in the United States, not Nigeria or Pakistan or something.
Yep.
And people that have proven track record of success, and also people that charge extremely reasonable prices. Yeah.
So I am interested in being a book promoter that we talked about briefly here for your authors. Yeah. I think I could put together a good program presentation.
I know you can, because look how good you're doing for your own books.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Is it time to wrap it up?
No, I'm looking at you because it looks like your glasses are a little crooked.
So how's that? Okay. Something funny, Rickey, real quick. When I first pulled up Zoom, I have this preset to have a background put behind me, and we actually have a green screen that we put right behind me, and I had forgotten to put the green screen up. That's why you can see everything back here. But for some reason the adjustment when you switch on the thing on Zoom that says I have a green screen, so that it knows to eliminate certain colors from the camera view. So that way you can have that, neat background with your logo behind your head and all that stuff. Well, I left that on and I didn't have the green screen on, and it made my glasses black. It made it look like I was wearing shades. And I look at the screen. I'm like, what's wrong with my eyes? And Angie about has a heart attack. What's wrong with your eyes? Can you see? She's thinking I'm having a stroke or something.
You're gonna have to reschedule, Rickey, like, if you're having a stroke.
I'm like, no, it's on the screen. It's making my glasses black. And I guess, but she's what's wrong with your eyes? Oh my god. So, well, we've had several health issues in extended family over the last several months, and
including someone who
lost eyesight and some in a stroke.
Yeah.
And my brother's dealing with some eye issues. Yeah. So as soon as I said eyes, Angie about hit the floor. Anyway, well, Rickey, we definitely appreciate you coming on today. I think we barely like touched the surface with you of all the stuff that you do and that you're involved in. And it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get it all in. But we're really glad to have you. And again, we'll link to everything that you've got going on this episode. This should be going out with this week's Writers Weekly.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. We'll of course let you know. Stay on the line for us here. Once we close out, we'll talk a little bit more. Angie, any last words?
No, the only thing is our daughter is 39 and 3/4 weeks pregnant, and if that baby comes early, there might be a little bit of a delay by one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Writers Weekly might be a little late this week, so we'll see. But other than that,
I'm flexible.
Yeah. So we thank everybody for coming on and listening today. Again, if you've got a book you're interested in publishing, if you've got a manuscript sitting around you've been working on and you finally want to get it out there to the public, and you're trying to figure out who to go with, don't be going online doing a bunch of searching and trying to find a publisher. You got one right here with a 30-year history and A+ rating, Better Business Bureau. We all speak English. We don't have a call center. Our website is pretty much the same website we've had up for 25 years. Yeah. Ain't changed much. Go with somebody that's got the background, the know-how, and the reputation. We will take care of you. And we got people like Rickey that can help you with your editing. We've got all kinds of other services that we can offer. So come on over to booklocker.com. We will treat you right.
Yep.
All right, Angie, this has been fun. Rickey, thanks for coming out. Again, stay on the line. And we will see everybody again on the next episode of the Writers Weekly podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.